Sleepy Hollow Season 4 premiere, Colombia. Now, this was a very interesting premiere. Of course, going off of the Season 3 finale, there's a huge change. So there's no more Abby Mills. She is off somewhere. Her spirit has now transferred, I would assume, into the body of the young girl at the end of the episode. And it was kind of a big question as to where the show was going to go. Honestly, I wasn't even sure we were getting a fourth season. I wouldn't have even known that this episode was out already because I don't actually watch anything on Fox outside of Sleepy Hollow. So that's one of the issues sometimes when you only watch one show on a channel. I don't ever see the commercials for when the show's coming on. And if it weren't for the fact that somebody commented on my Season 3 finale video, which happened twice in like the past 3 weeks, and I was like, I should probably look that up, but somebody did it like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, somebody commented on that, and I was like, I really got to look up when Sleepy Hollow's coming on. So I did, and I was like, crap, it came on yesterday. So, or like 2 days ago. So I'm glad that that happened, and was able to, get the episode on Hulu, which I'm definitely glad I was able to do that. So saw it on Hulu, and it was a fine premiere. I thought it was fine. I didn't think there was anything like insanely spectacular about it or anything like that. I typically don't with most premieres, if I'm being totally honest, because typically the finale is like the epic thing. The premiere is kind of just like, it's cool that the show's back. So it was kind of one of those where it started up, and we knew it was going to be very different. So it was almost like a first episode in general because there's so much that's different now. There are a ton of new characters in the show, considering they always only had like 3 main characters. So there's a ton of new characters. So we have, of course we have Ichabod, we have Jenny, and now we have this new cop. Of course I don't remember anyone's names yet. So we have the new cop, we have the 2 supernatural people, which I like them. I'm excited to see what they do with those characters. I remember that one was named Alex, and I believe that was actually the girl. And then we have the new mysterious super rich villain guy. I remember that his name was Dreyfus because he has a name that's like, I only know one other person with that name, and that's the woman who played Elaine in Seinfeld. So I remember that it was Dreyfus. So we have a lot of these new characters. It starts off kind of normal. Ichabod is taken to like this underground facility where it's like, what's going on. These random people are questioning him, which we find out isn't actually the government. It's like this guy. At least I assume it was. It was like, yeah, he's escaped or whatever, and he took out the entity. It's like, we're keeping tabs on him. It's like, okay. So I don't know what the heck his plan is, but he's doing like ritual spells. I love the scene when they did first show him though, and then his phone goes off and he like throws the cape down because he's mad. I thought that was actually pretty funny. But he's like this crazy businessman. He kills off like the last holdout for a company or whatever. He sends like his magical assassin, we find out, to kill this guy in Tokyo. And when he comes back, that was the cool thing, because I thought the guy was just like, that's like his assassin or whatever, and he knows that he does like, magical stuff. And then at the end of the episode, he like just shoots like a laser out of his hand, pretty much like a heat laser, and he blows up the head of Lincoln that they took from the monument. I was like, okay, he's just like shooting stuff out of his hands. I don't know, maybe they're basically wizards or something like that. He could be a demon or something. He might be under the guy's control. Hard to say at this point. There was really nothing given about their relationship. It was just he practices magic, the main guy, and his like right-hand man actually knows magic as well. So, excuse me. I thought that was pretty interesting. I was like, all right, that added a new little layer at the very end of the episode that I personally enjoyed. It just makes them a bigger threat. Whereas like, yeah, this guy can just like shoot fire out of his hands or whatever. So I thought that was cool. I was like, all right, that's a nice little layer to them. We have no idea what their plans are, but it's kind of grand scheme. It's a big organization. This guy's like he's the megalomaniacal villain where he's super rich. He's got all this money and stuff. He sends people, he sends his right-hand man out to kill the final holdout of a company just so he can own it. And he's also involved in like other super villain type stuff with magic. So he's like the all-around villain. So there's a lot they can do with that. I like the actor. I know him from an old show called Justified. He was really good in that. So I am excited to see what they do with that. And like I said, we have our new hero character. So of course we have the new cop who's the mother, we found out at the end of the episode, of the young girl. So I'm excited to see how that plays out, because at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about them just switching it up and it's like, poof, here's a new cop. Which, by the way, They don't have the other woman from the last season. I can't even think of her name now because I'm so bad with names. I thought she was gonna at least be in the season. She didn't show up in the opening, and I was like, well, that kind of sucks. I thought I thought maybe she would be the witness last time, and I was like, even if she's not, she's a cool addition, to the show. And she wasn't even in the opening. I was like, well, that effing blows. Like, they got rid of her too because they killed off, two of the characters. We lost Abby. I totally can't remember Jenny's boyfriend's name, the son of the old captain from the first episode. But he gets killed the episode before the finale. Abby goes away in the actual finale, so we lost both of them, and like we only have 3 characters left. And then we start up the season, and the opening kicks in. I'm like, oh yeah, new opening, and they go through everything. I didn't even notice this honestly until just now. But she wasn't even in the opening, so we don't have the cop, the FBI cop from the last season. She's not in it. I'm not too surprised that like the FBI director who wanted to be with Abby, I'm not surprised that he's not in it because he wasn't involved in all the magic stuff until like the very end. So it didn't surprise me that he wouldn't show up. That didn't like really bother me that much that he wasn't there. But she'd been in like this basically the whole season, and then like in the second half of the last season we found out that she was like a spy working for the FBI and she knew about magic and all that stuff, and it was like, to not have her in there was just like another crappy thing that happened. Like, man, somehow we lost yet another character. So I don't know if that's because she went to do another show or what, but either way, we don't have that character. So hopefully, she'll show up or something. It seems like the show is, of course it's still Sleepy Hollow, but it seems like it's going to be staying in Washington the entire time. That seems to be what they're doing. So I am actually curious how that's going to play out and what they're going to do with that. Of course, lots of, outside of Sleepy Hollow being famously Sleepy Hollow, DC has like a lot of monuments. There's a lot of stuff they can do with that, and that actually kind of has me excited to see where they can go with that. And like all this, like what they do, they take the head off of Lincoln, stuff, crazy stuff like that. So it's like there's a lot they can do considering it's DC. That's where all this stuff Ichabod's always talking about, they're finally there. Like, he's basically like 3 miles from everything he's always talking about. Like, oh, independence this and liberty that, flags and, coins, anything. It's probably like right there. Just go here, go there, Smithsonian, find whatever you need to find there. So there's actually a lot of possibilities with that, and I actually think that's really cool. They have a new library, like I said, with the 2 people, who I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with them, because they basically made a Gatling gun at the end of the episode, which Jenny got to use, which was a really cool sequence. But I'm excited to see where they take that. It's like, alright, they use this as their new library, but it's also like a place where they already have a bunch of stuff collected. It's like, yeah, we just collect a bunch of stuff. So it's a bit of an upgrade from the former library where it's like, yeah, we have all these books and stuff, and basically that's all they did in this episode was Ichabod used a book. But they did, like they used the Gatling gun, they're talking about, they made a little joke about making a guillotine, but they had tons of random items in there, so there's a lot more already in this location than the old library from previous seasons. So I'm excited about that, where there's just, also it's 2 floors if I remember it, because they showed like a nice little kind of angled shot, and it seemed like there were 2 levels to it. So there's a ton of stuff that they can utilize in there, and that has me excited for some of the potential for this season. So ultimately, I am looking forward to this season. It's going to be weird where it's only, Jenny and Ichabod, not even, of course, like I said, I suck with names, but not even, the former FBI agent who was a huge part of the last season, who I thought was going to transfer into this season. So I am very curious. I'm excited to see where they take it. It should be interesting with them being in Washington now, and like I said, around all the stuff that they're typically talking about. So I'm excited to see what they do, what's going to happen now that we have a human main villain. That should be very interesting as well. It's not a supernatural, I mean, he's supernatural, of course, technically, because he's doing spells and stuff. So in a certain regard, he is supernatural, but for the most part, he's just a guy. At least I'm assuming he is. He might actually be like a full-on demon, and we just don't know it yet. So that's actually possible as well. But with the way they're going with it, the stuff that they introduced, I'm actually excited for it. And I'm kind of hoping that, with the main thing with the other cop and stuff, with her being in the show, I'm hoping that she isn't too much of a focus as far as Ichabod's new partner. I'm hoping that if it truly is her daughter, which I would assume it is because she was doing the drawings, if it's her daughter, I would still like to see that it's Ichabod and Ginny as the main two characters doing all the stuff, because those are the characters that we know the best. And I don't need to see, like they're already going to introduce the characters in one way or another. I don't need to see it be Ichabod and this new female cop, because like most of the characters they keep adding are just like new cop characters. So I don't need her to be like the main focus as far as going out on missions. It's her and Ichabod. If it's Ichabod and Ginny, I'm perfectly fine with that, because they're gonna talk with her a ton if her daughter, being the next witness. And then of course, since they're in the library, we're gonna see the other two people all the time. And I would assume, based off of this episode, they will not only be helpful but also comic relief. I love the Superman part. That was really funny. And he's like, it's the demon's kryptonite, and Ichabod's like, or it's the demon's weakness. And he's like, oh right, the Superman. So I love that scene, but ultimately, I'm okay with this change so far. I know a lot of people, of course, losing a main character, it's different. It's never super fun. It's never something that you want to have happen, especially when it's not an ensemble cast. It really is like, here are like your top 3 characters, and that's kind of it. So of course, losing Abby was a huge change for the show, with her being one of basically the 2 leads. She's one of them, and she leaves the show. So of course it's very different going into this new season, but I like the possibilities for where they're going with it. I like the idea that the mother isn't the witness. I love that, actually, that it's the daughter, because I was like, man, I just assumed that she was going to be the witness, and it ends up being her daughter. Even though she was in the open, I was just curious. I was like, oh, well, what are they going to do with this young girl? Her being the witness, I love, and like I said, that'll probably lead to the cop being the partner for Ichabod most of the time, and it's just like, meh, I'd prefer it if it was Jenny. But either way, I'm sure I'll still enjoy it. I just would prefer if it was Ichabod and Jenny doing the mission, since they're the 2 that are most familiar with it. And just have the cop, it's like, hey, we found out your daughter was the witness, so that's why, she's involved in stuff. But maybe the 3 of them go on missions all the time. Who knows? So however they do it, I hope it's not like the same formula, just with a different cop, because that would be kind of annoying. So that's really why I hope it's Jenny, because it would be like, I know we have to have a cop character so that they can have certain leeway, like, okay, well, we got this information, or we can be on these crime scenes and stuff like that. That I understand, but I just hope they don't do the same formula with a new character when they can just use Jenny, and they're just super resourceful about it, because it seems like that's what she'd been doing like the entire series. Like, all right, I get whatever I need. I never needed to be a cop, that sort of thing. So I hope that's how it plays out, but ultimately we'll just have to wait and see. But I did enjoy this episode, like I said, with the new location, new low characters, our very young new witness. I'm excited to see what they do with this new villain as well, and whatever this mysterious plan is that he's got going. I am admittedly excited for the possibility for this season. I of course hope it does well, because I have enjoyed the show. Even if it's different, I don't want the show to fail. So I do want to see this show continue on. But of course, it's different. It's a whole new ballgame now. We have, we've lost one of our, top 2 characters, and it's just different. It's different, characters, different location, lots of different stuff going on. So, of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this premiere. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And naturally, are you guys excited for the new direction of this series? Like, based on what we got in this episode, are you excited for the possibilities? Not excited? Do you like the characters? Not like the characters? Just meh? Right in the middle, like, live with them, live without them. Want to know how you guys feel about them, and also your predictions so far, like where you think they might take these characters and what they might do with them, throughout this season. So, new path, but I am excited. Like I said, want to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.